Hello and welcome to NDTV. I'm Aditya Kaul. Over the last 25 years, one terror organization, Jaish-e-Mohammed, has led to an havoc all across South Asia, particularly in India, where there have been numerous terror attacks from the Indian Parliament to Pulwama. But the latest one has been in New Delhi, the first ever suicide bombing at the Red Fort on the 10th of November. At least 13 people were killed and more than 30 were injured. But what is the story behind the entire Jaish-e-Mohammed and its founder, Maulana Masood Azhar? Joining us right now here to discuss this and more is the author of this new book in my hands, From Pulwama to Payback, Balakot, The Inside Story by Francesca Marino. So this is the book in my hands. You can grab a copy if you want to know the inside of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the reality behind the numerous terror attacks that have happened in the past. Francesca Marino, the author, journalist, she's written extensively on the subject. Thank you very much for joining us. Francesca,
thank you for having me.
Of course, a pleasure always. Francesca, let me begin by asking you about Jaish-e-Mohammed, but also why do you felt the need to write this book on Balakot? Because I remember I covered this very closely in 2019 when the Pulwama terror attack happened, and subsequently we had the Balakot, and there was a kind of an information warfare that came in from Pakistan. They almost wanted us to believe that the hills were targeted, the trees fell down, the crows died, but the Jaish-e-Mohammed survived. What did you hear about it? Why did you feel that it was important to document this?
See, you might remember back then, I was able to find an eyewitness to it. He told me in detail first what he had personally seen, because this is what I asked. I mean, it was a very sensitive thing. I was fearing also to be framed, but I've been known this person for many years, so I trusted him. He gave me details. He told me what he had personally seen that same night. He saw 35 bodies being carried away, then all the phones were snatched. It was dark, so it could not assess the amount of damage. Something he did in the following days, when he was able to give me more and more details about wounded people being shifted to an army camp, about the army disposing immediately of the rubble and using the same debris to rebuild whatever damage was there. I felt the need because back then my story was widely criticized. I mean, I remember after 2 hours of my article being published, a video being shot on me and circulated on social media in which I was accused to be friend with Mehran Marri, former UN representative for Baloch, and with the former ambassador Hussein Haqqani, who had written the foreword to my book on Balochistan. And of course, of wearing a sari, so it was the clearest indication I was an Indian spy.
Well, that's what happens usually, because I remember covering Balochistan very closely. You've done much more extensively. You've written a book about it. But every time I do a documentary about Balochistan, every time I expose the human rights violations by Pakistani deep state, there are attacks on me. There is a federal investigative agency, FIA, that has registered FIR against me in Pakistan, while I have nothing to do with Pakistan. But, for the benefit of our viewers, Francesca, since we have got you here all the way from Italy, I want to understand, this Balakot was a terror epicenter of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Once Masood Azhar was returned from IC-814 hijacking, he established Balakot. He made this at the frontal force. But for the benefit of our viewers, please explain, why was Balakot critical? What did it have? And why was it important for India also to strike it?
See, the epicenter of Jaish is Bahawalpur. Balakot was one of their mains, the main in that moment, training camps. Indian intelligence had news that something big was going to be prepared there. There were also Afghans there being trained. So they were clearly preparing the next big attack. After Pulwama was as Air Chief Danoa explained to me, this does not happen overnight. Intelligence was collecting data for years. When Pulwama happened, they decided to go on.
Right.
And they did it. They did it. They hit the camp. Then, of course, one of the biggest coverage I've ever seen started almost immediately. After a few hours, when, first they said it did not happen. The planes were stopped at the border and engaged in a battle. Then they said, yes, they entered the Pakistani space, but they did nothing. Then they said, yes, they hit, but they hit trees and crows. They even sent Hamid Mir to show to the world that nothing was happening.
The ISPR story.
Yes. They took poor villagers, poor terrified villagers, to endorse this story. Then they showed, but if I remember correctly, not even that same day that Hamid Mir was there, maybe 1-2 days later, they showed craters of the supposed bombs that missed the target. Now, the kind of bombs being used would never leave a crater. They would make a hole in the ground. And of course, they don't disappear into thin air. Some part of the bomb is always left. There was nothing, only, yes, crows and trees.
Right.
So this cover-up started, but the most astonishing thing wasn't the cover-up. Of course, Pakistan is a master in denial, so same way they said they did not have any link with the Pulwama terrorists, they said it was a big miss. The most astonishing thing was was the attitude of the press, starting from the foreign press. And it is something I've been always wondering, why Pakistan, which is a notorious terrorist state, sponsor of terrorists,
right,
why each time something happened, it has believed, they believe in face value. While India, or even Afghanistan now, they are asked for proofs. So the fact that they brought press and diplomats to Balakot after 45 days, 45, to show that nothing happened, did not ring any bell. Paradoxically, the only one who raised some kind of doubts or questions was the Al Jazeera correspondent. All the other ones, yeah, they took us there. Yes, they did not let us go around. They made us talking to children who were there. And everything was fine. Nothing seemed new. Pity is, I have pictures of that same madrasa who was never intended to be a target.
right.
I have pictures of that same place taken a couple of months before, clearly showing signs of Jaish everywhere. Even the signboards on the road were changed, because till Balakot happened, there were signboards talking of Jaish. They disappeared.
Right. Francesca, I want to draw your attention now, since we've spoken about briefly about Pulwama, mostly about Balakot, to the latest bombing that happened in New Delhi. The first suicide bombing ever. You know, while I'm saying it, it's unimaginable for me that it is happening in India's national capital, even on a day and age of today. I want to ask you that, you know, the ammunition that was used in this, it's called the mother of Satan. It is used earlier, as per my knowledge, in other deadly terror attacks as well, in Barcelona, in other places as well. It's called the TATP. Now, what's the intention behind this? Do you think that this is the response to Operation Sindoor? Do you think the family members of Masood Azhar were killed, of Jaish-e-Mohammed, and that's why at that time he threatened and said that I will take revenge? And it is happening because our information is that they wanted to strike on December 6th, the Babri Masjid demolition anniversary, and a religious place was also on their target, perhaps a Hindu temple. So what was the intention behind it? Jaish-e-Mohammed, as we know, has been one of the most brutal, most radical organizations. Sometimes they don't even listen to the ISI. So what was the reason behind this?
The reason is, it's simple, and is the reason that drives, is the reason of existence of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Targeting India, taking revenge for whatever India did or in their mind do. But the very existence of Jaish-e-Mohammed is targeting India. And it is not anymore about Kashmir. That I don't think so. It's just, you know, Jaish is a terror enterprise. And the only justification of its own existence is terror and targeting India. If they don't do it, there's no reason why they should get money. The only reason why they collect so much funding is liberation, meaning targeting India. I think was whoever thinks that Operation Sindoor or any other military operation will stop Jaish is a bit delusional. It won't. It won't because, again, the only reason why Jaish exists is this, and widely, the only reason why the army and ISI have so much power in Pakistan is that they have to constantly convince their people that there's an enemy at the doors. And this must be kept live some way. Thank God this time did not happen what was planned because it was discovered earlier. But Jaish is rebuilding, started rebuilding Bahawalpur immediately after Operation Sindoor.
That's right.
They are setting up a female wing, which is quite interesting also. Yes, Masood Azhar's sisters are very much part of the Jaish structure. His sister, the sister husbands, one was killed in Operation Sindoor. So they are starting a female wing. A female wing which most probably will be of suicide bombers and spies. They won't allow women to be trained by men and, and do proper warfare. So
right.
It's interesting also consider the situation of women because also many training camps since Taliban took power have been shifted to Nangarhar. So while in Afghanistan women cannot even talk in public, but they are very much allowed to be suicide bombers.
Fair enough. But I want to take you back, Francesca, since you're an expert on Pakistan affairs, and on Jaish-e-Mohammed. Does it scare you that educated doctors, MBBS graduates are now being trained to be suicide bombers? Or do you think that this has happened in the past? Because we knew here it is a shock value, but in America, when the 9/11 happened, those were educated people as well, so-called education that they had got. But this time in Kashmir, till that time it could be said that it's indoctrination, it's Islamist radicalization, etc. But doctors coming in as suicide bombers, in which direction are we heading?
I think the story that madrasas and radicalization filled a void because there was no proper education and so on has been, maybe it was true 30 years ago, but it's a long time. We have seen everywhere Islamists being educated people. Yes, maybe the cannon fodder are uneducated people, but to radicalize somebody, you have to give him a thought structure. And that kind of ideology, it holds better if the person is not uneducated. So political Islam, because here we are not talking of religion in the primary sense. It is political Islam, and the ideology behind that is political, is not religious in a pure sense of the term. Is a result of religion, but it is political. And it is an ideology of conquest. So you do it funding universities, you do it radicalizing highly educated people, talking of social injustice, talking of oppression, and also giving money.
That's right. But, over the last few years, of course, we know that the Pakistan Army, the ISI and the deep state are completely in bed with Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Hizbul Mujahideen. But after Pulwama, especially after Balakot, we saw a lull. We saw that there was a change in thinking. We also saw 3 or 4 years old ceasefire at the India-Pakistan border. Do you think that with a new army chief, comparatively new, Asim Munir, he seems to be a jihadi. He seems to be the most radical army chief ever in the history of Pakistan. He's a Hafiz as well. Do you think that he will embolden the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the terror groups even more?
They are already emboldened. Not only Asim Munir is a jihadi supporter, their spokesperson is the son of a jihadi, is the son of an Al-Qaeda top member. The only change in this moment is that Donald Trump endorsed them, emboldened them, because of what happened during Operation Sindoor, when he claimed ceasefire, and he started comparing both countries. The fact that one country is sponsoring terror to operate in another country did not touch him.
So Trump emboldens terror groups in Pakistan?
Trump emboldened Asim Munir.
Okay.
Trump emboldened Asim Munir. Trump even gave a clean sheet to Asim Munir and the Pakistani state to kill Baluch, because he made sure to put more weight on declaring the Baluchistan Liberation Army an international terror group. Really.
Just when TRF was banned to basically do a false equivalence, they did with Baloch group as well, Majid Brigade.
Exactly, but we all know that all those groups are international jihadi groups, starting from Jaish. They have an international agenda. They have a clear manifesto. which goes the usual stuff from here we'll conquer Rome, we'll get Spain back, blah, blah, blah. The usual manifesto. The only group in the area which is not a jihadi group, does not have an international agenda, and it's fighting for their country, is the BLA. But yes, they declare it terrorist group. Like nobody says TTP, which they are now trying to blame on Afghanistan, but TTP was born in Pakistan, created by Pakistani.
Right.
ISIS-K is in Pakistan, ISI is managing all these groups. But yes, since there's the need to keep, Americans don't like democracies and don't like countries putting their own national interest first.
Right.
So, and Americans in this moment want also Bagram back. So this is what's happening. But Pakistan has been involved till they will realize that once again they have given life and support to a monster.
Well, that's right. The monster, the snakes in the backyard that will strike, and perhaps they will wake up. But I'm afraid, Francesca, we are lack of time now. One message that you have for the viewers who are watching this interview, why do you think they should read this book?
To find out exactly what happened and what Jaish is really doing and how it is structured and how interesting it is to see how this terror organization is allowed to operate freely in Pakistan. Also, the book is not written for experts. I made a point of being very clear and very without too many technical details. So I hope the readers will enjoy it.
All right, we hope that the readers will enjoy it. In my hand is this book, From Pulwama to Payback, Balakot, The Inside Story. This is not just for the experts, this is also for the layman who are interested to know about geopolitics, about national security, about strategic affairs, but mostly about Pakistani terror organization Jaish-e-Mohammed, why they did Pulwama, and what was behind the Balakot strike and the inside story of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Francesca Marino, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here at the NDTV studios. Thank you.